Hello viewer, welcome to Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Television. This is Aqua Farming, a program that brings to your doorstep all you need to know in the aquatic world. My name is Joshua Ishaya, your host, and today on the program we'll be looking at the history of fish farming in Nigeria. I'm sure you want to know how this economy-driven sector came to existence. Stay tuned.
Now, let's look at the history of fish farming in Nigeria. Fish farming is recognized as one of the most important aspects of Nigeria's agricultural sector in the early 1980s. The colonial administration in Nigeria began to pay closer attention to the colony's local resources, which includes fishery during World War II. The government established a fisheries organization in Lagos in 1941, and preliminary surveys and experiments were conducted in the ponds, lakes, lagoons of the area. In 1945, the organization became a section of the Department of Commerce and Industries. By the 1950s, the organization had grown to become the Federal Fisheries Service in 1954. The operations of the branch were split between the federal and regional northern, western, and eastern governments. Fish catch increased tenfold between 1960s and 1970s. Presently, fish farming is highly regarded industry in Nigeria, with prawn, catfish, and tilapia being some of the more popular fish. In 2009, Dr. Abubakar Saraki, governor of Kwara State, decided to start a farming estate, one of the most ambitious yet in Nigeria. Agriculture is very important to the economic development of people and also very important for poverty alleviation. It is important to human survival. The catfish business is a very lucrative and underexploited business in Nigeria, and even now, its food shortage looms worldwide. Investment in this kind of business is the right move at the right time. Catfish is a profitable and fast-growing business. The flesh of the fish is made up of protein. This protein is made up of amino acid. And amino acid are composed by carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. These are the different types of fish we can breed. African mud catfish, popularly called Clarias gariepinus, giant mudfish called Heterobanchus, hybrid mudfish called Heterocarriers. These fishes are called catfish because of the whisker that grows out of their face, like those of a cat. Catfish is a species of Clarias known for its ease of breed, a low mortality rate during breeding, and common cause of fish mortality rate at early stage. Stress resulting from fluctuating water perimeter such as pH, temperature, salinity, and light. Contamination or poor management of water and feed. Bacteria, fungi, and viral infections, cannibalism and fish predators, poor handling of fish, and other random variables, which all these will be harmless with our techniques. A table-sized fish, one that weighs minimum of 1 kilogram or attain the age of 4 to 6 months and above, this is sold between 1,500 per kilogram from source and sell at in eateries or open market. Breeding catfish for business purposes is highly technical and highly profitable when practiced. Technicality of breeding starts with the housing construction to its feeding process, which determines the outcome. Of importance too is the species of catfish in questions, which is necessary in the frame structures of the fish. Now, let's talk about the catfish fingerlings production. The major problem is fish farming is the catfish fingerlings production, because it is the hardest and easiest segment of the catfish farming. Without the production of catfish babies, fish farmers cannot achieve their goals because there will be no juvenile to stock. Catfish fingerlings. Production starts with the selection of females broodstock fish. Ideally, broodstock were between 50 to 100 grams, with larger fish being difficult to handle and often resulting in egg losses prior to stripping. But it's advisable to use large fishes if someone can assist in handling. In general, mature females are selected according to these criteria: a well-destined swollen abdomen from which ripe eggs can be obtained by slightly pressing the abdomen towards the genital papilla. Ripe eggs are generally uniform in size, and an experienced hatchery operator can see the nucleus as a small dark point in the center of the egg. A swollen, sometimes reddish or rose color genital papilla. The most common technique employed to induce final maturation and ovulation in African catfish is to inject the female with hormones or pituitary gland. It is advisable to cover the head of the breeder with a towel in order to keep it quiet during injection. In general, most fish keep still if their eyes are covered. The females are mostly injected in the afternoon, evening, and are kept separated from the males in a pond or basin. Of major importance is that the breeders can be caught easily when it's time to ovulate the eggs to avoid spoilage of eggs. The speed of the process is dependent upon water temperature. The higher the temperature, the quicker the eggs ovulate. Tripping of the female broodstock is carried out by gently pressing the abdomen with a thumb from the pectoral fin toward the genital papilla. Ovulated eggs will flow out easily in a thick jet from the genital vent and are usually collected into a dry plastic container. The males of the African catfish cannot be stripped, and consequently, the sperm can only be obtained by sacrificing the male. The male is killed and the body surface thoroughly dried, after which the testis is dissected and placed in a mortar or a teacup. The testis is rapidly cut into small pieces using a scissors, and finally the milk is pressed out with a pestle or a teaspoon. Some dilute the milk with a psychological salt solution about any hour before the female is stripped, and this solution is added with the stripped eggs. The advantage of this method is that eggs from a large number of females can be fertilized, as one testis of a mature male can easily fertilize the eggs of 10 to 15 females. The sperm is added to the stripped eggs, and the eggs fertilized by adding an equal volume of clean water. The water and egg mass are then mixed by gently shaking the bowl. Eggs must be stirred continuously until they are placed in the hatching tank. As the eggs become streaky and without stirring will stick together into the clump. About 60 seconds after fertilization has taken place and the sperm has lost its activity, the fertilized eggs are then ready for incubation in vaults. Development process from fertilized eggs to hatching, like all other biological processes, is dependent upon water temperature. The higher the water temperature, the faster the eggs hatch. The time it takes for catfish eggs to hatch depends on water temperature. Clarus catfish typically spawn in the spring when water temperatures are between 70 and 80%. A general principle of egg incubation is that water is renewed in order to provide oxygen, and that after hatching the larvae are separated from the remaining eggshells and dead eggs. The latter is of utmost importance in order to avoid fungal or bacterial infections of hatchings and consequent larval mortality. Poor fish tank hygiene, rough handling of fish during sporting, use of equipment net without routine washing and disinfection, and using properly, feeding dead fish to others, things transferring disease agent, overstocking, overfeeding, wastage of feeds, pollution of water, increase in the ammonia level of water, ultimate death of fish. This is a major poor fish management. Now, let's talk about catfish nutrition fact to human body. Eating catfish make it easy to increase your fish intake because this is widely available and expensive compared to any other type of fish. These catfish nutrition facts will help you determine if this fish is right for your diet calories. Catfish provide a low-calorie source of protein and omega-3 fatty acid as long as you bake or broil it instead of preparing it with cream sauces, butter and other garnishes that add fat and calories. One cooked fillet has 220 calories, meaning that this dish has fewer calories than most of the meat. If you want to reduce your intake of calories and saturated fat, try replacing ground beef or steak with fish at least once per week. One serving of catfish contains 10 grams of fat. For someone following 2000 calories diet, this represents approximately 15% of the recommended daily intake for fats. Same serving size has only 2 grams of saturated fat, making catfish a better alternative to meat with high level of saturated fats and cholesterol. If you bake or broil the catfish and serve low-fat side dishes like steamed broccoli and brown rice, you can keep the fat content of the meal to a minimum protein. Protein provides a source of energy that lasts longer than the energy from carbohydrates. The functions of protein in the human body include building muscles, repairing damaged tissues, keeping the hair skin healthy, and transporting nutrients. One serving of the catfish has 25 grams of protein, making catfish a high-protein food. Adult women need approximately 46 grams of protein per day. One adult needs approximately 56 grams of protein per day. This means catfish provides over half of the dietary required intake required by women and 48% of the DRI for men. Vitamins and minerals. Catfish contains several vitamins and minerals essential for good health. One fillet contains 8% of recommended daily value for iron, 10% of the DV, for zinc 6% of the DV, for riboflavin 10% of the DV, for magnesium 4% of the DV, for folate 35% of the DV, for phosphorus 70% of the DV, for vitamin B12 1% of DV, for vitamin C 40% DV, for thiamine and 10% of DV for vitamin B6. Catfish does not contain calcium or vitamin A. Dietary fiber. Dietary fiber aids in digestion and reduces the risk of disease. Catfish does not contain any dietary fiber, so you should look to other food sources for the important nutrient. High fiber food includes almonds, whole grains, bread, apples, bananas, sunflower seeds, broccoli, pecans, sweet corns, and whole grain spaghetti. As the aim to make fish farm easy and convenient for people, I've taken a race of getting the collapsible vat. This is the best latest technology for fish production. It is portable, carriage, and collapsible pond. They come in different sizes and shapes. They are very affordable.
Hello.
Now, let's talk about making money with aquaculture from your backyard by smoking catfish. One of the easiest and cheapest cottage agriculture business you can start without stress is a catfish smoking business. There are several catfish farmers in Nigeria today, so getting catfish to smoke is not a problem. All you need to start this business is skill and determination. You don't have to be a catfish farmer. You might not even have an idea of how fish grows, but you can make a big money smoking fish for fish farmers. This is a business for both fish farmers and non-fish farmers. Smoking fish can be easily if you follow some basic steps. The 4 basic steps in smoking fish are cleaning, curing, drying and smoking. Smoking is an excellent way to preserve fish that you don't plan to sell right away. A fish is smoked as it dries over a smoldering fire. Wood smoke adds flavor and color. The breaming process helps to preserve the fish. Smoking adds flavor and color, removes some water from your fish, tips on smoking catfish. The first step in your fish smoking business is to obtain some fresh fish. If it doesn't look fresh or smell fresh or feel fresh, probably it doesn't, and it will make your finished product taste bad. Use fresh fish. Smoking will not hide old fish. The quality will be reflected. Brine and cure. What is brine? Basically, brine is a salt and water soaking the fish in brine will achieve a few things. It will firm up the flesh to be less mushy, to draw out any old blood, which will improve the taste. It will add some saltiness to the fish and the right amount that is desired. Let's look at catfish nutrition. Since cultured catfish gets only a small portion of their food nutrients naturally, they must be fed a complete feed, that is, one formulated to provide all required nutrients in the proper proportions necessary for rapid weight gain, high feed efficiency, and a desirable composition of gain, high protein gain and low fat gain. Feed cost is about half of a variable production cost in catfish culture, so as the catfish producer, you should carefully consider feed selection and use. Feed ingredients. No one feed ingredient can supply all of the nutrients and energy catfish need for best growth. Commercial catfish feed contains a mixture of feedstuffs and vitamin mineral premixes that provide the right essentials nutrients as well as the energy necessary to use the nutrients. The amount of each feed ingredient depends on several factors, including nutrient requirements, ingredient codes, availability of each ingredient, and processing characteristics. Protein and energy supplements. Feedstuffs containing 20% crude protein or more, considered prod supplements. Protein supplements may be classified as animal or plant. Protein used in animal feed come from inedible tissues, from meat packing or rendering plants. Milk products and marine sources. Those used in catfish feed include marine fish meals, catfish offal meal, meat and bone blood meal, and poultry byproduct meal. Animal proteins are generally considered to be higher quality than plant proteins. Animal protein is essential in the diet of fry and small fingerlings of catfish. Fish meals prepared from whole fish appears to be a better protein supplement than other animals' proteins. But fish meals does not appear to be essential in the diet of catfish after they reach the size of 6 to 7 inches. Animals' proteins can be replaced by plant proteins in catfish food. Fish feeds without affecting growth and feed efficiency. The main plant protein sources used in catfish feeds are oilseed meals such as soybean meal, cottonseed meal, and peanut meal. Some other oilseed meals could be used but are not generally available on a timely basis and at an economic cost per unit of protein. A brief description of various animals and plant protein sources that can be used in catfish feed is given in the chart on the next. Energy supplements are feedstuffs that contain less than 20% crude protein. They include grain and grain byproducts and animal fat or vegetable oil. It is important to include non-protein energy sources in the catfish diet because they are the most economical source of energy. They prevent dietary protein from being used for energy. Energy sources typically used in commercial catfish feeds include corn screenings, wheat grain, wheat milling, rice bran, meal or animal fat, and fish oil. Prixes. Vitamin and mineral prixes are generally added to catfish feeds. They provide more vitamins and minerals than what it needs for growth to make up for any losses that may occur during feed manufacture or storage. They are made from high-quality ingredients using forms of vitamins and minerals catfish that can readily digest. Feed formulation catfish have generally been based on a fixed formula with little use of a least cost approach as is used in other animal industries. They use a least custom computer program to formulate feed. Manufacturers must know the cost of feed ingredients, the nutrient concentrations in the feedstuffs, nutrients requirements and nutrients availability from feedstuffs, and nutritional and non-nutritional restrictions. Use of least cost feed formulation is limited because we don't know much about the nutrient travel that bring maximum profits. In relation to levels that result in best weight gain, we can store a large number of different ingredients at the feed mills. Getting a wide assortment of feedstuff on a timely basis is a problem, but we can use a simple application of least cost feed formulation used to formulate catfish feed. Here are some examples of restriction based on the nutrients and feed ingredients for least cost formulation of catfish feed. Feed manufacturing. Now, let's talk about feed manufacturing. Feed manufacturing puts mixture of feedstuffs and feed additives into a usable form. The main goal in making feedstuff is to increase profits of animal production by increasing the nutritional value of the feedstuff or a mixture of feedstuffs. Depending on the animal species, this process may range from a simple reduction of particle size to forming feed pellets through stem pelleting or extrusion. Catfish feeds are unique compared to feeds used for terrestrial animals grown for food because catfish feed must be pelleted, water stable, and generally made to float on the water surface. Thus, most commercial catfish feeds are manufactured by extrusion. If a particular feed additive will not withstand extrusion, the feed may be manufactured by stem pelleting into a sinking pellet. Fat is typically sprayed on the feed pellets before shipping to reduce feed dust. Now, let's talk about earth pond. What is an earth pond? Earth ponds are natural earthen reservoirs, often created by excavations and/or damming up a natural soil-based basin. Sometimes with the addition of a clear artificial membrane linear, earth ponds can be used for swimming, garden, landscaping, raising fish, and earth ponds could be ponds for swimming. Lovely garden ponds or ponds for raising trout size and availability of water. But these ponds commonly range from about 50 feet in diameter to several surfaces acres, although we do work with water gardens. Smaller decorative pools require artificial linears and water circulation system and are not considered natural ponds. If you can swim, catch fish in it is an earth pond. Each pond can be used for both recreational and practical ends. Swimming, fishing, and skating are just a few of the common recreation uses. Functional uses include garden ponds, aquaculture, irrigation, drought relief, mosquito control, and West Nile virus management. Hydropower, geothermal, heating and cooling, wetland construction, wildlife and waterfowl refuge, and more. Often recreational and practical functions can be combined. For example, swimming ponds are frequently used to raise fish and may also include a fire protection hydrant and garden irrigation features. And feeding management. The idea of feeding your fish and manage your feed, and you'll discover the secret strategies for growing your 1 kg of fish using 1 kg of feed, and how to pellate with water instead of starch, disease prevention, etc.
Fish farming is lucrative and are mostly raised in tanks or enclosure for food. Fish like tilapia, salmon, carp, and catfish are the most frequent fish that are being farmed in Nigerian farms. I'm sure whichever one you choose to embark on, you can actually go into it as you've heard how it all came into existence. My name is Joshua Ishaya. Thank you for being a part of the program Aqua Farming. Have yourself a very splendid time ahead. Bye for now.